Malcolm Washington's film is The Piano Lesson. Mike Leigh's film is Hard Truths. RaMell Ross, director of Nickel Boys, and Marielle Heller's film Nightbitch. All four incredible films. You are all great directors. I wanted to see if you had all. One question I was thinking for all of you, I guess, before you're going to start production, new film, night before, what is like the one thing on your mind that you're going to go in and the next day to really kind of think about? I'll start. Malcolm, you're laughing, so I'm going to start with you. What's like the first thing you're thinking of?
You know what? I'm so curious to hear from the most senior of us, the most accomplished of us here. Like I want.
Mike, what do you think of the first day before the night before you're going to start a new film? What are you thinking of?
Well, I've made, I think, 28 films,
All
and
right.
with no exception, I always shit myself. I mean, I know I don't need to, but boy, I mean, and I mean, as you know, I mean, by the time we get to shoot, we've been preparing the film with the actors for like sometimes 6 months, and certainly on the last film, Hard Truths, for 14 weeks. So, and we're really solid in what we're doing, but that doesn't mean that it's not in some way going to be terrifying. Everybody, and we're all on the same page, and we've prepared it and everything. But it's still it's still terrifying. But you get over it. Important thing is to get on with it, really. And
I don't know if I feel better or worse about that.
Yeah. It's like,
I mean, well, I hope you feel worse because keep you on your toes.
I think I love talking to other directors because it is the amount of pressure is so much greater than anyone could ever know. And that first day of shooting, that's when all that pressure hits. And I think in a lot of ways, there's probably a million talented people who could direct movies, but part of the reason that they don't or can't is because of the amount of pressure and responsibility that's on your shoulders. I don't think everybody can handle that level of pressure. It's just so extreme. And you know how much every day costs, how everybody's going to be looking to you for every single decision. It's just such but I also find that first day of shooting like the most satisfying because prep is so horrible and you finally are getting to put things into action and things will be happening and completed. Even if it's just one scene is completed, something is done. It just feels like the best feeling in the world. I don't know.
Yeah, what breaks that like tension for you? Or at least on this film, on Nightbitch?
What breaks that tension of
Like
pressure?
what broke like either the first day, because at some point you got to just make the movie. At some point you got to put the pressure away. But what
I
broke
think
that?
the moment a scene works, that the first moment where something between the actors is happening and you feel it and you're just going like, oh, it's working. We're making a movie. It's a movie. That's a real thing. Just that whatever the magical thing that happens, because there is such little magic that happens in every day, right? Don't you think? And like you have one moment where you see like a real tension between two actors or something that resembles love or whatever it might be. And you're like, we did it. And then it's all fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
On my movie, Samuel Jackson's in my movie, and he just started like doing all these ad libs, and he was like cussing up a storm and throwing this gun around, and it was so funny. And a film like I'm working
on day one.
On day one, like, literally like one of the first setups, it was really tense. Everybody's nervous, but we're shooting a very fast schedule, and it's tense. It's a little tense, and we're working on a text that's so revered. It's like you don't mess with it, and we've been messing with it a lot. So him kind of like just being so playful was like everybody relaxed. Well, yeah, we're just making a movie now. Now we're settling in.
I think if you could make it to lunch without freaking out, once you've had lunch on the first day, you're all right, basically.
Yep, I agree.
Wait,
sometimes I think it's just get through that.
Who, me?
Yeah. I'm curious to this point is like because in your film there's the process is a big part of the film itself, right? It's like your philosophy on the camera, and just from a production standpoint, at what point did everybody kind of get over and how did they get over the apparatus?
The novelty.
Yeah, I'm unsure if they did. I think Yeah, it's pretty. I
Uh,
think my strongest, my strength going into this is that I haven't made a narrative feature before, and so everyone had to unlearn, but I just had to learn. I just didn't know really anything. But I knew the way that the movie should be made, so I could go into it pretty clear-eyed. And I feel like the process is so cumbersome to the way that films traditionally are shot, even from the sense of just lighting, because if the camera's the character, then the shadows move and with you. And like the way that you light a film set is obviously not the way that light is in the real world. So it just causes all these problems. So it's just like a constant adjustment, I think, for everyone. But I think if Mike's tradition is taking shits, I think for lack of a better word, mine is getting COVID. It's only happened once, but I got COVID my first day. I tested
Damn.
positive like right before. So
Damn.
I'm hoping to do that next time.
What did you do? What did you do? Did you have to shut down?
Yeah, we shut down. I directed from a tent for the first day, and then our production designer got COVID the next day, and then they shut it down. Yeah, but like we didn't.
I got COVID 2 weeks before filming.
You're so lucky. I mean, you're not. I mean, obviously, no COVID is the best luck, maybe. But
Yes.
I mean,
Can I just make a technical point?
yes.
When I said refer to shitting myself, I think you took that literally as my the lavatory and having a shit. That's not what it means in English vernacular. It means being very nervous. It's a metaphorical.
Oh,
So
I didn't get it. I'm
I
not the
got
king.
it. I understood.
whereas you actually had COVID.
You got that,
I did not have diarrhea or have to keep going to
Mari?
It's a
Yeah.
metaphor.
I got that. You didn't get that?
I didn't get that, Mari. I actually
You thought
I'm not the. It's not the King's English where I come from, Mike. It's it's a different relationship to the.
Oh yeah. Shitting yourself for sure.
Yeah.
RaMell, you said something there about like lighting. One of the things I wrote down about this too is all of you, like I'm as a viewer, I find like a lot of times I watch films and I'm like, man, this doesn't look right. And I'm like, just not, I just feel like they don't look like movies used to look to me. Maybe I'm 1,000 years old now and I don't know anything, but all of your films look like they're really lit well. Obviously, all of you are different levels of your careers, but I'm like, they all look like real movies to me, for lack of a better word. And I guess like how, like, not like, how do you do that? Or why is it like, how much care and time do you spend doing that, make it look like a real movie? Whereas a lot of times I'll see stuff and like, doesn't look like a real movie to me. So I guess like how important, like how much does that like help in terms of like, you know, like making sure this stuff looks great as it does, I guess.
I think for me, I'm never trying to make something look like a real movie, but all of the creative choices are there to tell the story and to work together in connection with each other. So the lighting needs to tell the story of the place you're in and the time of day and the mood. And it needs to be hopefully not just objective, but have some subjectivity to it, because it's reflecting the character's perspective of the world and what they're perceiving around them. And so in the same way that camera blocking, when I first came to directing, I didn't understand necessarily that camera blocking is a storytelling technique. It's not just where you place the camera, you know, it's this subconscious way that we're telling the audience how to feel in every moment and how to experience a scene. Your lighting is doing the same thing. Every choice you're making, even the choice of a coffee cup or the light that might be coming through the window, is giving your audience clues that they're hopefully not consciously thinking about, but that are connecting to our characters and our stories. Right?
I kind of wonder that question. I could not agree more. Sorry to jump in with. I wonder kind of. I haven't seen the trailer for Mario or Mike's film, but I have seen the trailer for the piano, and it seemed like so lusciously cinematic. And I wonder because like cinematic is like a very specific term, like a very specific lens on. And I know that you come from a family of intention. Like I met you and you're like very sharp. I wonder, can you like say something about, I wonder like why you didn't go for more realism. You went for like cinematic realism, you know, if that's fair. Man, I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, we went for like, it was like a big swing, right? So I think that, like, even when you watch a trailer or something, now when we go in to see anything, we bring so much with us. We bring so much expectation of what we think the thing should be or what we think it's gonna be. And when you are making a production of something that's been produced for 40 years, there's so much that's coming into the theater with people, whether they've seen the play or not. Like, there's a lot coming in. And it was really, I really wanted to kind of like wash away with that and say, you've seen versions of this so many times, but you have not seen this. Like, this is different. This is different. And even from a conceptual approach, what we're working towards is there's like a Trojan horse thing happening in this film, right? Where we're telling you that there's this ghost story. We're telling you that there's this whole thing about like the supernatural, but it's really a story of spirituality. It's a story of connection with your ancestors that have passed on. And it's like through this artifice, we get to this like really poetic truth, you know, that's very real by the end of the film. So I think that it was important to kind of start from this really heightened place. Like when you watch the opening of the film, it's like very heightened, like the color, like there's this big firework kind of explosion thing that's like the colors are not, it's not real, but it feels real. And we're playing off like our ideas of nostalgia, our ideas of the past, like how our memories are tainted. Like when you look at a photo and you're like, oh, I remember that, but no, you don't. You've just seen that photo so much. You've built the memory around it, you know, but that's not how it happened. Our film kind of plays with that misunderstanding of truth. And then, so I feel like the way that we made it was to kind of bring those elements out of it.
I mean, if I may say, sometimes people have talked about my films as naturalistic. They're not. They're realistic. They're not. It's realism, not naturalism. It's about getting to the essence of what's real. And you know, in the context of the look of the film, the photographic decisions we make, the style, the spirit of the thing visually, we always way before we get to the shoot, as soon as I can, when I'm developing the content with the actors, as soon as I'm able to, I share with the cinematographer and the designers, but especially the cinematographer, I'm able to say, I think it's this. I think in the case of Naked, you know, this was monochromatic, nocturnal, perhaps a little bit bleak. In case of Happy Go Lucky, able to say it's bursting with possibly primary colors, and just talk about the spirit of the thing. And then tests are shot, and we really challenge the conventions of straight, naturalistic, if you like, ordinary photographic decisions, but always to make it feel real.
Wait, can you talk about your testing process?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
maybe all of you all. That would be sick.
Yeah.
I know, we
Oh,
never get to
I just
talk
want to
to
know.
each
Yeah,
other.
like,
We never get to do this.
yeah.
oh, I mean, you will talk about it, and then the cinematographer will make choices about possibilities and shoot tests. Sometimes I'm involved in the tests, which nearly always don't involve the actual actors, but people wearing the same kind of costumes and in the same kind of parallel equivalents of the location. But most particularly, what's being investigated are film stocks, ways of, you know, I mean, in the case of Naked, if you're familiar with that film, you know, we missed out the bleach bypass process in the laboratory. This is, of course, shooting on film back in the 90s, and that gave a particular effect, which was very important for the spirit of the film. So the tests are, you know, short bits of film, which will then go into a preview theatre and look at them. And I mean, there was one film we made, Another Year, which we may or may not have seen, where I was a little bit vaguer than I often am with Dick Pope, my late cinematographer, who sadly died just a few weeks ago. And so we did he shot tests. We went into a preview theatre and he said, look, I'm just not sure exactly. So I've done 4 different options, 4 different ways of 4 different looks. And I sat there, and at this point, I was in the process of developing the story with the actors. And so I sat down and I looked at it, and suddenly I had this amazing flash, clairvoyant flash. And we came out and he said, "Okay, which way do you want to go?" I said, "We'll go always." And he said, "You're mad." I said, "No, film will be spring, summer, autumn, and winter." I don't know if that's what it is. And that informed that visual decision, which I got from his alternative possible tests, that fed back into my dramatic construction, and it liberated some aspects of the film. So it's about the homogeneity, the harmony between what the decisions you make visually and the decisions you're making dramatically, and the nature of all the other things, all the elements.
Damn.
Agree.
Break it down.
Break it down.
But I mean, it is about preparation, I have to say.
What about y'all?
Mara, you go.
I don't know. I do a different process for each movie because I think each movie calls for something different. Like when I'm thinking about A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, my Mr. Rogers movie, we did more testing for that because we were trying to match a feeling of Mr. Rogers' show and how they filmed the actual show. And we were also kind of fighting the studio not really believing we should shoot it on cameras like what they shot the original show on, like old school, big, huge video cameras that we had to gain access to and find in Europe. And it was such a big process to actually shoot it on these old, very unreliable, big, funky cameras. But ultimately what we ended up using our testing for was really to show that you couldn't fake it, that there was no way to fake what those cameras did, and the way that watching footage that was shot on those cameras made your heart do a somersault because you felt like you were watching TV from the 80s. Like you can't replicate that, the way the lights would streak if it would burn, all of the things. And so a lot of the testing was really about trying to do that like gut check of what does this make me feel emotionally, and is this the right choice emotionally? And I always approach, because I feel I didn't go to film school and I don't come to filmmaking from a technical standpoint, but I recognize the technical part as so critical to the storytelling that I tend to use emotional language with my DPs or my production designers to try and help us create a look that's uniquely from that perspective of that story.
But don't in a way, that's what we all have to do. You have to, I mean, of course, the more technically on the case you are, the better. But in the end, it's about expressing the feelings you have about it, and however the audience. And I mean, actually, that's been reflected in what you've all been saying, albeit in quite different ways. I mean, whether you're talking about that extraordinary camera you've got that is the character, or whether you're talking about the adaptation of the show. I mean, you've still, you've all been talking in one way or the other about your own subjective, emotional feelings about it that translate into artistic and technical decisions.
Totally.
Yeah, I think we were lucky on our side. I think because I have like an art practice outside of film. It's like sculpture and a lot of photography, and so we immediately went for a LUT that matched my sort of 8x10 images, which is using these Panavision like secret prototype lenses and Sony Venice and
all the lenses are secret.
Well, I've been told that too, but then there's also the real secret lenses, Mari.
I don't mean to take the piss out of it. I just love it.
You don't even know how secret these lenses are.
Every movie, everyone's like, "Oh, these lenses are off the market. These are these antique lenses you can't get. These are these secret lenses. These are these anamorphic
from the monocle of Caesar."
Exactly. It's always a thing. It's always a thing. It's always like, oh, we got these lenses. They haven't, nobody's seen these lenses since they found them on a shipwreck.
I hate to report this, but the so-called famous secret lenses, a lens that nobody else has got. I mean, I've been coming across them for over half a century.
Yeah. How they're never ending.
We're like giving away trade secrets right here. This is
Well, and then,
to talk about.
not because of that, but unfortunately we do have to wrap it up. So we'll just end it. We can pretend that that was all we have to wrap up. Mike, what last thing here? What are you going to
Let me
say?
just say one thing.
Yeah.
At any time in history, if you drop one of those secret lenses on the hard concrete floor, it's not a secret anymore.
This is so wonderful hearing you all speak about this. All these films are amazing. Once again, Malcolm Washington, Piano Lesson, Mike Leigh, Hard Truths, RaMell Ross, Nickel Boys, and Marielle Heller, Nightbitch. All of these films are great. Thank you so much for doing this and chatting about your process and these films. It was really great.
Can we just
Thank
all
you.
stay on and just become friends?
And that's
I
up to your
know,
reps,
right?
I think. I love it. I got time, but I don't think we can.